Well, my sister came to UWSP probably about 2 years before I did, so we already kind of had this idea of what the campus was like, and she really only had good things to say about it. Also, it was kind of like one of those campuses where it was like the Goldilocks one, where it's like Eau Claire seemed really nice, but it was really far away, and Oshkosh seemed a little bit closer, but I don't know if it would have been as good as UWSP. But here it just kind of seemed like just the right spot with just the right quality, and of course just the right price. It was a very affordable price. Yeah, I'd say that it's been a really good experience so far. There's been a lot of, like, in terms of academics, we have really good programs here, especially for me in the history department. They have really good professors there. They really do invested in what they do. They have really enjoyable classes. But even like some of the gen eds I've taken, stuff like comm and even like physics. I had a really great physics class with Dr. Benjamin, and that was really enjoyable. And I didn't think I would really like that because it was just kind of one of these gen eds, and I wasn't really ever good with science in high school, so I kind of wanted to just get it out of the way. But I learned a lot, and I had a lot. I would say that maybe in terms of the classes, History 300 was certainly really great. It's kind of the intro to the high level stuff, and you have to write the large, the 10 to 12 page research paper, and there's a lot of research that goes into that, and you kind of learn a lot about the process of researching in history, kind of learning about, you know, analyzing sources and all that, and it was a really useful class. And it was really great that I was kind of able to do, like, research what I felt like researching, and I kind of got a lot more invested in that than like when in high school, when you have like a professor who's like, okay, I want you to write a paper on like the Roman Empire, and it's just kind of one of these things where you're just going through the motions. But here I got to actually invest in it and make it personal. So I feel that I was kind of curious as to why, you know, the Japanese after World War II, they seemed to come back like really quick. You'd think that a country where they lost so much of their infrastructure, it's got a lot of firebombing and all that sort of thing, you'd think that they would have been out of the game, the proverbial game, for a long time, but they really bounced back real quick. And as I looked, I kind of found that there was certain quality control sort of officials that came up from the United States, and they in turn kind of influenced and created this idea of quality control in Japan. Well, they didn't create it, but they sort of facilitated it. That was the core point of my research, actually, was that so many people kind of think that the Americans were the one that came in and sort of fixed the country right after we broke it. But it was really kind of more of an effort on the part of the Japanese themselves, and they kind of did their own things, and they just kind of used American resources for assistance, and then that kind of influenced the pre-war economic culture, kind of influenced the post-war, because they were allowed to have that continuity, you know. So I would say that I'm doing a lot of research around Asia so far right now, but I don't know if that's going to be sort of a thing that I'll focus on later on, but it certainly is interesting. Professionally, I hope to come out of here with my teaching certification and get a job teaching social studies, probably history. It's really kind of central in Wisconsin. There's a good community around it. We have a lot of really engaged faculty. The student body is really like friendly. I've met probably like, in all my 3 years, I've met like maybe like 2 people that I didn't like, that I completely did not like, but everybody else was just pretty great. The professors especially, like if you're having trouble in your classes, just make sure to go talk to your professors, because like 99.9% of the time they'll be more than happy to help you, and they'll be able to work with you and make sure that you are able to do well in the class, you know. So that's probably the biggest advice I would give. Just make sure to have good contact. Make sure if you're having trouble with your papers, to visit the writing lab, you know, in the basement of the library. I'm not trying to, you know, pay my own bills, but it's a really good place, and it's a really useful resource that actually is kind of unique, almost to Stephen's point. There's not that many writing centers of our quality in the UW system. There's maybe probably count on one hand. So that's a really useful and unique resource that we have here.